Good morning Year 4 and welcome to your maths lesson for Tuesday the 23rd of February. Now today this is going to be a workbook for the Year 3 booklet, and today our learning is going to be on page 26. So the page that you are looking for in your booklet looks like this. So this is the page we are looking for you to complete today. Okay, so before we look at our learning question, we are going to do a little bit of a brain warm-up. We're going to get our brains working, up and ready for our learning in maths today. So what we are going to do is a quick game of Hit the Button. Now you're all aware of what Hit the Button is, how you can access it at home. Quite often we do really like doing Hit the Button in school. So if you want to have a go at this as your warm-up, you can pause the video before we do our warm-up and you can have a go yourself. Okay, so let's have a look. We're going to do Hit the Button and we're going to do our times table. So you've got options of different ones that you can have if you wanted to do number bonds, doubles, halves. I'm going to go on times tables. And then it gives you an option now of if you want mixed times tables or if you just want to practice a certain one of your times tables. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to practice our 4 times tables, okay? So that's one that I've been looking for you to develop on with your times table rock stars. So I've been setting you the 4 times table. So we're going to go onto 4 times table. And then as you'll know, you'll have a timer that you've got 1 minute to complete all of these, and your score goes up depending on how many you've got right. So we need to look for the answer for the question that shows at the top of the screen. So let's have a go. Right, so we've got 6 times 4. 6 times 4, do we know? Okay, hopefully you'll get it before me. Okay, 11 times 4, that's a nice easy one for us. 11 times 4, 44. 8 times 4, do we know that? Can you do it before me? I can see it needs to be over here. Yeah, 32, well done. 3 times 4, so we've got 4, 8, 12. Can we see 12 on there? 12 in the top corner here, so let's press it. 6 times 4, can you do it before me? 6, 12, 18, 24. 24, can you see 24 on here? 6, 12, 18, 24 over there. Oh, just about. 1 times 4, we know that is 4. 11 times 4, so we've had this one already. It's 44. Can you spot it on the screen? 44, yes, it's over there. 5 times 4. 5 lots of 4 are 20. Can we spot it? Oh, just about. So we've got, our score was 8. Now I know at home that you can definitely beat 8. So my challenge for you today is to see if you can beat my score, see if you can even double my score as well. So that is your brain warm-up. If you want to do your own warm-up now, that's absolutely fine. You can go across to Hit the Button and then you can play the rest of the video for your learning when you are ready. Okay, so our learning for today. So before half term we were looking at fractions. Yesterday we also had a look at fraction calculations. Today we are going to continue to solve and complete fraction calculations. Now it is actually going to be our final day on fractions. So I want us to work really hard because we have done so far and it's our final lesson on fractions before you would return to school and we have a look at it then. So let's really give it a good go before we move on to something new tomorrow. Okay, so what I want you to do is just have a look on the screen here. We've got adding fractions. Now this is going to be very similar to what you can see in your booklet. You're going to have a fraction that's in a large box. Now my example is 4/6, okay? And then I've got 3 options to choose from. You need to choose 2 of those fractions that add together to make 4/6. Now to make it easy for you, you'll notice that the denominator is the same. So yesterday our learning was understanding that the denominator stays the same, but our numerators need to be added together. So looking at these 3 fractions here, which of those 3 can be added together to make 4/6? I only want 2 of those fractions and there are 3 there. So let's have a look at some and see if we can add them up to make 4/6. 2 6 add 3/6. Now our denominator stays the same, so I need to do 2 add 3 in my head, which is 5. 5/6 is not the answer I need there, so I need another pair of fractions here which total 4/6. So let's have a look at another one. So we've got got 1/6 add 2/6. The denominator is the same, but our numerators, we add them together. 2 and 1 make 3. It's still not 4/6, is it? I need to have another look at these fractions, and I need to be looking at 2 of the numerators that add together to make 4. So let's try one more. I think we might know it already, and hopefully you've spotted it at home as well. So we've got 3/6 and 1/6. Now our denominators stay the same. 3 and 1 is 4. Well done. So we know 4/6 is the total when we add these two together. So I'm going to get my pen and I'm going to circle around the two fractions that we know added together make 4/6, that big fraction in your booklet that you need to make the total of. So I've got this one here, I'm going to circle, and this one here as well. So those are my two fractions that add up to 4/6. Now before we move on, let's just do another one together before you move on to do it in your booklets. So let's have a look at my next fraction that I've done. What is the fraction that is here in my red box? Can you say this fractions for me? It's 8, what? 8/9. Well done if you got that at home, so it's 8/9. And I need to look at two fractions which add together to make 8/9. Now remember, my denominator again stays the same as 9ths, so I'm only focusing on my numerator, and I need two numerators which add a total together to make 8. So let's have a look. We've got 6 and 3. 6, 7, 8, 9. 6 and 3, that would make 9/9, and I don't want that, I want 8/9. So let's have a look at another one. So we've got 6/9. Let's try this one instead. Add 2/9. So my denominator is the same. I need to add 6 and 2. Those are my numerators. 6 in your head, add on 2 is 8. So we've got 8/9 when we add this fraction 6/9 with this fraction which is 2/9. Okay, so I can circle these two fractions because added together make the total of 8/9. And remember, my denominator was the same, so I'm only focusing on the two numbers as the numerators to make a total of 8. And my denominator stays at 9. Okay, so you can have a go at section 1 in your booklets now. When you are ready to move on to the next part of your learning, you can press play on the video and I'll talk you through how you can find a fifth of an amount. Okay, so well done if you have completed section 1 at home, that's brilliant. I bet you've all done super well, you've done really well. So now we're just going to do a recap. Now yesterday I was teaching you how to find 1/4, didn't I? And we were looking, this is 1/4 here, that bit that's shaded here is 1/4. And to find 1/4 of 20, I needed to do something here. And it was an operation that I needed to do. Can you think at home, what was the operation that we were looking at yesterday to find 1/4? Okay, so hopefully you have all recognised that yesterday we were doing division, weren't we? It was dividing. We needed to divide 20 by the denominator, which was 4. So we divided 20 by 4, and that answer gave us 1/4. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work out how we can find 1/5. Now before I move on to the next slide, have a think at home. What do you think the rule might be for finding 1/5? If for 1/4 we need to divide by 4, what might we need to do at home to find 1/5? Have a think before I turn over the slide. Okay, so hopefully you have all recognised that actually we're just dividing it by the denominator again, so we're still using division as our operation, but what we do need to do is now divide by 5s, because to find 1/5, you can see here I've got 5 parts and one of them is shaded. To find 1/5, I divide that by 5. So if I wanted to find 1/5 of 20, I need to divide 20 by the denominator. What number's my denominator? It's 5. So I need to divide 20 by 5. Now I can use the inverse and use my times tables to find out how many 5s go into 20. So you can count along with me at home if you want to, or you can do it in your head. So 1 times 5 is 5, 2 times 5 is 10, 3 times 5 is 15, 4 times 5 is 20. Now I'm going to stop on 4 times 5 is 20 because that's the amount. How many lots of 5 make 20? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 lots of 5 make 20. 1/5 of 20 is 4 because 5 lots of 4 make 20. And this would be the same rule that would apply to any other fraction as well. If you wanted to find out 1/6 of a number or a total amount, then you would divide the total amount by the denominator, which would be 6. So it just works the same, but you have to divide it by the denominator, by the amount of parts there are in the whole, for you to work out what one of those sections are. Now in your work booklets, you are going to have a series of numbers, and you need to find out 1/5 of that number. Now just like we've done in school, we've done 1/5 of 20. So we've used our 5 times table. We did 20 divided by 5, which was 4. That gave us 1/5. You're going to do the same in your booklets, but you're going to have a different amount. But to find 1/5, you divide that number by 5. So you can move on now to section 2 in your booklets, and then we're going to move on to our final part of the learning today. Okay, so this is our final part of our learning today. Now you'll notice that we are now looking at different quantities of fractions. So we've looked at 1/4, we've looked at 1/5. But what happens when we have 2/5? How do we work that out? Well, it's very similar to what we were doing previously in the last slide. However, we have to add in another step because there is not just 1/5, we've now got 2/5. So we have to just add another step in there, but I'll talk you through how to do that. So we've got 2/5 of 20. So we knew that 2/5 of 20, to work this out, first we need to do 20 divided by 5, and we've done that already, haven't we? We did that on our previous slide, and we know that 20 divided by 5 is 4. So our first thing that we need to do is to work out what 20 divided by 5 is, which is 4. Now we know that that is 1/5, but I want to find out what 2/5 are. So I need to do something else, and what I need to do now is, after I've divided the denominator, I then times that answer by the numerator, which is on top. So the answer for 20 divided by 5 was 4. I now need to times that number by however many parts I need, and it's asking for 2 of those fifths. So I'm going to do 4 times 2. Now we were looking at our 4 times table, weren't we, and hit the button for our starter. 4 times 2 is 8. So now we have worked out what 2/5 of 20 are. Now let's just recap how we've got there. First of all, we divided 20 by 5, which we've done in our previous slide. But rather than having 1/5, now we've got 2/5. So now we have to times the answer by however many the numerator is saying. And it says 2 over here. So we divided 20 by 5, which gave us 4, and then we times 4 by 2, which gave us 8. So 2/5 of 20 is 8. Okay, we're going to have a go at one more, just so you can see how we go through the process. So now we've got 2/10 of 60. First of all, we look at the red arrow, and we need to divide 60 by 10. So I need to know how many 10s go into 60, so you can count along with me if you want to. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. 6 lots of 10 make 60, so I'm going to put 60 over here. Now what was that next step that I needed to do? I've done the red arrow here. What happens with the blue arrow? What do I do now? What did I need to do? I multiply, don't I? So I'm multiplying 6. Oh, that was 6. 6 lots of 10. 6 times it by however many the numerator is saying, which is 2. So it's 6 multiplied by 2, and we know that that makes 12. Now if my numerator was 3, it would be 6 multiplied by 3. So the rule is that you divide by the denominator and then times by the numerator, and that will show you how to find fractions of calculations. Okay, so when you come onto your reflection today, after you've finished section 3 of your learning, I want you to really start thinking about reflecting on fractions as a whole. So you've completed your fractions unit in your booklets, and well done for doing that. You've had a fantastic go at it, some great work that I've seen. So I'm going to just put the dice on twice, and you're going to think of these 2 answers for your reflection of fractions as a whole, thinking about how you might have felt at the start before we visited fractions, and if you feel any more confident now. Okay, so let's have a roll of the dice. So my first one is 4. So what did you find tricky? Think about, what did you find tricky in the whole unit of fractions? Was there something in particular that you found quite tricky with? Or was it at the start where you didn't really know how to order fractions? Have a think about what you felt tricky, okay? Let's do one more roll of the dice and let's see what it says. Okay, so my next roll is the number 4. Oh, we've just had the number 4. Let's go again. Now we've got the number 3. So number 3 says, did you learn anything new? Now hopefully you have all learned something new with fractions. We have revisited new learning, something that we haven't taught you in school. So I'm hoping, I know that it's difficult when we're not in the classroom, but hopefully you can think to yourself today something that you have learnt new about fractions since we started this unit. Okay everybody, so remember to send all of your work in to the Year 4 email address and come back tomorrow to find out what our new unit of maths is going to be. Good luck everybody.